Hey guys, you're about to listen to our show Records and Rants, a weekly show where Dixon and I discuss or review an album, song, or other music-related subject, and then at the end we let off some steam and rant about a random topic of the week. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like below if you enjoy, and leave a comment if you have an album or topic you want us to discuss in the next episode. New uploads every week. Hello everyone, welcome to Records and Rants. My name is Ice. We're not going to do the formalities today. We're getting right into it. It's been too long. With me, as always, is Dixon. How are you?
Ice, the boys are back in town. We needed to recharge. We needed to take a moment, look at ourselves, and now we're back better than ever.
That's right. We needed to do a moment of inflection, really introspection, look into yourself, look inside. That's not the right word, is it?
It has something to do with the voice. I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah, it definitely is. I was so close. What have you been up to during our massive break?
Just hanging out there, chilling. Thinking about making the show better. Thinking about collaborating on future projects. The things we always do in our spare time.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. And, we saw each other over the break. That was fun. It was a good time.
Yes, it was a good time. Definitely a good time.
Yeah, no, I don't even remember what I did. What did I do? What was the whole break for? I can't even remember.
The break was for just the headspace, man. We just had to clear the headspace for a moment with all the kinds of things going on.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff in our lives, a lot of different scheduling conflicts. So we're back and we're better for it.
So much better. I understand you met an old acquaintance of ours a few weeks ago or a week ago, and
absolutely.
Sounds like there might have been some bad blood there previously, but it sounds like it's been resolved.
Yeah, previously we think everything's fixed now. I think everything's good, and I think you guys could meet up again. I'm excited for this. I've been waiting to see this for years.
One of the highly touted reunion tours of all time.
Maybe we'll have him on. I don't know.
Oh my God, just like a Maury style tack.
I love it. Could you see that? The show would probably eventually just turn into that.
That's pretty funny.
No, that'd be great.
So what are we talking about today?
But yeah, no, I the way that I understand is you have a lot of interesting stuff to say about this one character. I think you got to take this one away because I'm kind of in the pilot. Or no, I'm sorry, not the pilot scene. I'm kind of riding shotgun, like side by side with you. I'm your wizzo, your weapon system operator. In other words, you're the pilot. You're the one that's heading off this subject.
Oh God! All right, understood. No, I think it's a good breakdown. We've gotten some good feedback on our breakdown previously when we broke down Elvis.
Oh yeah,
both the film and the career.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a good way for us both to learn some things, share some things with the viewers, maybe some insight. And I think it's good because it's some good perspectives. Like I've always been a fan of, say, this guy, and then you kind of get into the realm, and you're like, okay, this is what I think after I listen to this, and this.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah, it's a good back and forth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to run down some things with you here, and I'm going to start with what we do sometimes. It's with a film, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one person representing these different personas: poet, prophet, outlaw, fake, star of electricity, rock and roll martyr, born again Christian. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
This is personas for one individual, a career.
That's pretty incredible. Honestly, that sounds amazing.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's kind of all over the place. So this applies to none other than, in my opinion, the greatest artist of the 20th century, Bob Dylan.
Wow. There it is.
Well, let me ask you
No, I just heard you laughing back there. No, that was a big reveal. I love it. That was really good. Do you have that written down? That was fantastic.
No, I just started that. That was really good. This is actually from the film. This is from the the description in the film. Okay. This film, it's called I'm Not There. And basically it's a good place to start, but it's actually, as a film itself, it's kind of boring.
So you
Because
you would say it's nowhere near the level of the Elvis movie, essentially.
no, that's like more of a biopic. This is like a really abstract, nonlinear way of talking about Bob Dylan's life.
It sounds pretty interesting because it's a drama musical I see here.
Something like that, yeah. And like it's all these different actors play Bob Dylan. And the
Yeah.
thing, and the biggest takeaway from this film is that, and it applies to Bob Dylan's career, is that you cannot pigeonhole Bob Dylan's career. You could walk into a record store or your collection or whatever it is and just pick out any Bob Dylan album at random, and it's going to sound different. The songs are going to sound different. There's going to be different wordplay. His voice, his styling, his use of production will all be different no matter what era you decide to choose an album from.
Really? So okay, if you were able to give me, would you be able to kind of pin him down to one single thing? Like if you had to, would you
Nobody
be
can
able to do that?
pin Bob Dylan down. No, I cannot. I
Wow.
never will. I'm going to sum it up with. You can't even sum it up with a word. You talk about America, about rock and roll, about folk, about pushing the envelope, taking things to the next level. Counterculture. That would be a good way to
Yeah.
good phrase and good word. Some of Bob Dylan is counterculture, going against what you think, what you previously thought, and just starting fresh. Because we talked about his quote before on the show. The artist is always in a state of becoming.
Yes.
He's never stopping. He's never going, right?
That's okay. Yeah. I understand that. So he's just constantly evolving into a
Evolving.
new genre. He's just always innovating, always experimenting.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
So you would say in that way he's essentially a true artist.
Yeah, I would say so. I think he's the ultimate artist. I mean, I don't think there's bands in the 60s that just existed, had number one singles, started a career, had a career based on Bob Dylan covers. Bands like the Byrds, the Turtles.
Really?
Jimi Hendrix. You ever hear of Jimi Hendrix?
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
All Along the Watchtower, you know that song?
Yeah.
That's Bob Dylan's song.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's one of my
Guns N'
favorite
Roses.
songs by him too.
Really, it's awesome. That's the thing is Jimi Hendrix kind of made that version of the song. Like that's the song.
Well,
Kind of
sure.
like Johnny Cash
Yeah.
and Nine Inch Nails. Like the Dylan song is like whatever, but it's more of a Hendrix song.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses, Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Mm-hmm.
Familiar with that tune? That's a Bob Dylan song.
Really? So Bob Dylan wrote all these songs, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Like all
and
on
they're
the
all covers.
Watchtower. Wow, that's
Yeah.
actually incredible.
Yeah, it's really wild, and countless other covers as well. A Wagon Wheel was started by Bob Dylan years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just a absolutely prolific. I mean, next level. Like I said, hard to pin down, and everybody kind of. I think that, like Dylan is this cliche thing, like voice of a generation, or
Mm-hmm.
a genius, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like at times, like it's like, oh, it's so cliche to listen to Bob Dylan. But if anybody had an ounce of talent like Bob Dylan, they'd be writing more. You'd have more of an impact. His career has evolved from the '60s to present day, where it's always different, always groundbreaking. And like I said, you can just pick out an album wherever you want to start. Just pick one out, and it'll be totally different. And I haven't shared any of his music with you yet because I kind of just wanted to scratch that surface,
Okay,
kind of
I
like
see.
get
Yeah.
to the nitty gritty, and then because you could divide this up however you want to, but the bottom line is you can't pin them down. It's a little overwhelming undertaking to even discuss something like this.
So did Dylan ever work with anyone else, or was he just kind of like a one man kind of band? I mean,
Oh,
obviously he had a touring band with him, but it was never like Bob Dylan and the whatever.
wouldn't you be surprised to hear?
Oh
so,
wow, I love this.
Bob Dylan, I think we have to start out in the beginning. I hate
in
to answer
the
your question
beginning,
like that, but I think we have to. Bob Dylan is in Minnesota, in the Iron Range, the Iron Country.
Sure.
Grows up listening to folk music. Grows up listening to some protest stuff. Is really highly influenced by Woody Guthrie, and Woody Guthrie wrote a song, "This Land Is Your Land."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, everyone knows that song.
sure, absolutely. Wouldn't you believe it's a communist love story? That song, but hard to believe.
I have heard that. That amazed me that one time. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense when you really think about the lyrics. That makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense. This land is your land. This land is my land.
it's sort of it was a response to "God Bless America," which was really gaining a lot of traction at that time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
so instead of being like America's number one and God is going to shed His grace on America, no, it's
It
land
was
for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it kind of has a nice message, but so Bob Dylan was inspired by the song. That's what you're saying.
Well, he's inspired by Woody Guthrie as an artist.
Woody Guthrie. Okay.
Yeah, so he makes his way to New York City. But by the way, if you ever want to read a book, Chronicles Volume 1 by Bob Dylan, it's his biography, autobiography. There hasn't been a Volume 2 yet. And
Still wait on that one.
it's been released years and years ago, but Chronicles Volume 2 is still forthcoming. But he talks about, he makes his way to New York.
Okay.
And he's making his way to New York, and he starts playing in Greenwich Village, and he gets introduced to the folk scene there in Greenwich Village, and kind of starts mingling with other people, Peter, Paul, Mary, and all these kinds of other people there.
Yeah.
And then he starts recording music, releasing music, and he starts to get into the protest genre. You have civil rights movements, you have unrest, you have a lot of changing things. War is being discussed. So he, after a few initial folk albums, starts to get into protest songs.
Okay, so you would say that that's where he started. He was kind of just influenced by the anti-war kind of folk genre, and then he came up being that rebellious kind of person.
I'd argue that he started the anti-war genre. No, not really.
Wow. Okay.
But no,
okay.
he definitely brought it to the front scape. Like it became like, okay, Woody Guthrie was a thing, and you understood what he stood for, maybe, but Bob Dylan put it in your face.
Right.
How many roads must a man walk down before he's it's how many deaths till it takes till we know that too many people have died? Blown in the wind.
Oh yeah.
All these other things. Like it's really really just puts it in your face and sort of makes it. And he would absolutely hate this this comparison, and everybody else would too. But kind of made it mainstream. Made it accessible.
That's it's pretty interesting because he was popular, I guess, right? He made it so it appealed to the masses. I'm not saying he did that purposely, but his music did.
Yes. And it's funny because you're asking all these questions, trying to pin this stuff down. He would give you such vague answers. He's like, the one time he was asked, he's like, do you, something about protest songs? And he said, all my songs are protest songs, no matter what the song was. And there's this really famous interview. This is towards the mid 60s where he's, being interviewed by a guy from Time magazine, and he said, "Hey, do you care about what you sing?" And Dylan goes, "How could you ask me something like that? Would you ask the Beatles that?" And it's the truth, because like it's absolutely completely ridiculous.
Yeah, why would you ask that?
Yeah, well,
that's insane.
Because all of his songs are protest songs. Because he doesn't want to be pigeonholed. He doesn't.
Of course, and I understand. And again, let me stress this out. I know absolutely nothing about Bob Dylan other than his name. I'm sure I've heard like one or two of his songs before. I've never listened to him, but he just sounds like someone, from what I could picture, just from what you're telling me right now, that he is, like you said, he's a true artist. He doesn't want to be pinned down. He doesn't want to be, put, like you said, pigeonholed. So I think the questions like that, I could totally understand why they're offensive to him.
Right, absolutely, 100%. And you still have, and at this time, Bob Dylan is big. Bob Dylan Bob Dylan is starting to become Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
People are trying to get near him. They're trying to say, okay, what does he do? What does he work? He met with the Beatles. He gave the Beatles marijuana for the first time ever in their lives.
Oh, so he was the one that started the whole LSD trip for the Beatles. Then
possibly, yeah, that's what they say.
Hey, it's a gateway.
Yeah,
it's a gateway drug, right?
That's what I hear. Absolutely.
Yeah. We don't touch that stuff on this show.
No, never my L.
Absolutely not.
So when he gets in, so he's had a touring band, everything else. So one of the big moments in Dylan's career is Newport Folk Festival, 1965.
Okay.
Dylan goes electric, right? He puts down the acoustic guitar, he plugs in, he plays an electric guitar.
Now, was this the first time he's ever done that?
Yes.
As far as his touring career, okay. Now,
correct, yes.
Wow, that's a huge move. That is a totally different genre of music right there.
Huge, absolutely. So
different
and that
feel,
so
everything.
Right, and there's a scene in the film. I'm not there, and it's the perfect. It sums it up perfectly. Is that it's black and white image, and it's the actor at this time playing Bob Dylan in this era. He turns to face the crowd, and he's holding a machine gun because that's how the crowd felt. You're betrayed. Bob Dylan was the folk guy.
So this wasn't well received, is what you're saying?
No, not at all. So
wow.
So Dylan plays electric, and he's still touring acoustic because he's still releasing Bringing It All Back Home,
Yeah.
Blonde on Blonde. These are a couple albums that have like both sides to Dylan. They're acoustic, they're stripped down, but he's also going electric.
Okay.
So Bob Dylan embarks on a tour shortly after that in '65. He goes over to England and he does two sets in the same show. One set is acoustic and the other set is electric.
Okay.
And so he was booed off stage almost every night when he went electric.
That
When he
is
got when he plugged
incredible.
in. Yes.
That is incredible. I mean, and you said he had a lot of popularity now. I'm sure he had some respect. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
for him to be booed off stage, I mean, that's sure
Yeah.
I didn't like that because again, he's probably just saying like, well, these are my songs. I mean, I imagine he would be like, well, these are my songs.
Right.
You not saying you should appreciate them, but I mean, come on, don't
Right.
friggin' boo me off stage.
Right. Yeah. And there's a scene. There's so many documentaries, but there's a documentary by Martin Scorsese, No Direction Home. And the one scene, it's all footage from that tour. And he's like, I'm going to get a new Bob Dylan. I want a new Bob Dylan. He's over this. He's had enough.
Wow.
The press is attacking him. He plays in 1966 in Royal Albert Hall, and he goes to play Like a Rolling Stone. Have you heard the song Like a Rolling Stone?
I, man, I hate to say it. I don't think I have.
Ice, the greatest song of the 20th century. If you need
Really?
a song to sum up the 20th century, the politics, particularly the later half, the interactions, the evolution, not always for the better. This is the song, and is, in my opinion, the greatest song of the 20th century.
Like a Rolling Stone. Okay, I'm gonna put that on the list.
Yeah, put that on the list definitely, and then put I'm Not There as well. Now this
Okay.
is from that was from that's just got released for the first time in 2007.
Oh, so
Um,
that's
yeah,
Wait, I'm sorry. Is that the song or is this the?
it's the song I'm Not There.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Wow, love this list. Really like the initiative you're
No, I know. I mean, like,
exhibiting
I
here. I
know,
appreciate that.
I know that Bob Dylan has had a huge influence. I mean, he's a household name because I, being someone who has never seeked this guy out, I know his name. I know who he is.
Right.
So, I mean, that says a lot. And this guy was from the '60s. So the fact that
Yeah.
I know him now, even though I've never seeked him out, that says a lot. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Um,
it's probably a long time coming. I probably should have listened to these songs a
yeah,
little
I
while
think
ago,
it's a
but
good place
yeah,
to start.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I think it's a good place to start.
absolutely.
So to answer your question, this is when Dylan is touring with this band,
Yeah.
and it was Bob Dylan and the band,
Okay.
right? So the band became synonymous with Bob Dylan, the band. Their name is the band. They just go by the band. And you've heard some of their songs too. They've like '60s or '60s, '70s, greatest hits radio. Like they've definitely out there. Levon Helm was their drummer.
hmm
He was pretty influential. But so Bob Dylan is in Royal Albert Hall, 1966. He goes to play Like a Rolling Stone. He's playing the opening riffs, and somebody yells out Judas,
Wow. Are you
like
kidding
Judas,
me?
like you betrayed us. Like this is it. Like this is not the same guy. It's over.
This is incredible.
I know it's insane. This is such a pivotal moment. This is why I'm spending so much time on this build up because it's such a pivotal moment in Bob Dylan's career.
Yeah, no, yeah,
And
let's hear it.
and he replies back, "I don't believe you. You're a liar." And he yells to the band, "Play it fucking loud." So they launch into this Like a Rolling Stone that is so terrible. It is the greatest thing you've ever heard in your entire life. At one point, he has his hands on his mouth and he's yelling into the microphone.
Are you...
It is just incredible. It's an incredible piece of footage, and it is just amazing. It really is amazing.
That's fantastic. And there's actual footage of this.
Yeah, absolutely. You can probably get it on YouTube. I don't know. They might have.
Wow.
Yeah, you can still get it on YouTube.
That's awesome. So he was probably fed up with this.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, I
Yeah.
I could imagine. I can't. What was the whole animosity towards him? I don't understand something like that because I mean, at least in the modern era, bands change all the time. They go on to new ventures, they try new sounds, and like no one's booing them off stage. They might not listen to them anymore, but they're not out
Right.
there hating them. So what was
Right.
the deal with Bob Dylan?
I think he was just like, not to be like cliche, but like a literal folk hero. He was the guy. He made change with his music. He was a MLK during his "I Have a Dream" speech. He was there. He was around. And just his style. Like he always kind of wore like this real like dirty farm kind of clothes with these big heavy boots, like really like hipster um, rural America clothing. He evolved into this. He always wore a black suit with these Beetle boots and like these Ray-Ban Wayfarers. Had a total evolution, and it was like, okay, well, what happened to us? Like you used to speak for us, kind of deal almost, or they connected with that music, like especially young people. And when times are changing, as Bob Dylan said, the times they are changing.
Yeah.
It's hard pill to swallow when the guy that inspired you and has kind of got your back is literally almost turning his back on you.
Okay, so that actually makes more sense now because you have
Yeah.
this very niche group that looked up to him, stood for them at least in their eyes,
Yep.
and maybe, I mean, maybe in just in my head, not to say it lightly, but maybe Bob Dylan was just making music,
Yes.
and now he's
Yes.
just like
Yeah. Right.
he's just okay. Well, then this now is my next thing. Okay, like as an artist, I'm making something
Yes.
else, or
Right.
and it just happened. So you didn't necessarily betray them. It was just as happenstance. It just inherently as an artist, you do eventually move on.
Right. Yeah. Right. And like you said, maybe he was just making music. Maybe that was just it. Like you said,
Yeah.
that was so profound. Your thought right there, because it's true. Man. That's what he. I think that's what he thought all along.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe he did just think that because, um, like I said, just him not wanting to be pinned down. It just sounds like that's
Right.
his persona. He doesn't want to be pinned down to one single thing.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Is I've seen Bob Dylan. I don't know, maybe a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen the same show twice. It's kind of like it's the same vibes anymore. He's in this American roots bluesy kind of time in his career. So it's like you know what the sound is going to be like, but the set list varies. How he accentuates the words, how he spaces up, how the spacing, the tempo on the songs are different. He doesn't like to do the same
Wow.
thing.
That
You know?
that's yeah, that's really cool. When you could take a song that's been established, I guess,
Yeah.
and you could change it up based on
Right.
where you're at in your artistic career. That really is the sign of a true artist, I would
Sure.
say.
Absolutely. So, after this time, Bob Dylan, he's in on a motorcycle. He gets into an accident. He removes himself from touring for a while. So he goes up to Woodstock, New York, a cabin, and he records with the band. And they had this album, the Basement Tapes, and the Basement Tapes has been like the most notorious bootleg of all time. There's all these different versions and different releases
Mm-hmm.
and things that weren't always there. What I love, one of my favorite albums by Dylan is Nashville Skyline in 1969. And
Nashville Skyline.
Nashville Skyline, and purely for the reason that there's actually a couple mainstream hits on there, but he just changed his voice. Just decided I'm just going to change how I sound. He sounds like Kermit the Frog esque figure
Kermit
on
the
Nashville
Frog. Yes.
Skyline.
Why do you do
Yes,
that?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't have no. I don't know if anybody knows.
He sounds like an eccentric guy. I have to say.
so so it's funny because one of my friends in high school and we were like obsessed with Bob Dylan. Like we were like everything we did came back to Bob Dylan.
Damn. Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, and we were all about Bob Dylan. So it's like, so we went to see him, and he's like, "What do you?" We're saying like, "What do you think Bob Dylan's doing right now?" What do you think? Like, do you think does he use the bathroom? Does he hang out?
Like he's some kind
Like,
of god or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We had this phrase. I don't know where we got it from, but it's "I'll have an apple later." I don't know why, but we thought it was the funniest thing. So
Oh,
of course he did a impression of Bob Dylan saying "I'll have an apple later," like as if he was gonna maybe possibly eat a piece of fruit. But how could Bob Dylan even consume food?
yeah.
How could you even think about that?
Wow.
You know?
Okay? So he was really elevated. He was really
Oh
elevated up.
oh man, I don't even know. There's just career in his persona just so wild. Like it's like it's just so different. A few years ago, he's in New Jersey riding his bike, and he
Hmm.
got arrested because they thought he was like a homeless person trespassing.
Oh,
And
that's
there's
amazing.
there's a scene in Pawn Stars. So Bob Dylan released these albums in the '80s, and one was Empire Burlesque in 1985, and it's
Hmm.
Bob Dylan trying to be like '80s, like synth and pop and everything else. And the cover is like a really strange cover. He's leaning forward, and he's got like a real '80s style blazer with different art on the cover.
Yeah.
And in Pawn Stars, Chumley goes up to Bob Dylan to have him sign an album, which Bob Dylan doesn't sign autographs. Like he doesn't interact with fans. Like you can't meet Bob Dylan, you can't see Bob Dylan.
Oh wow.
In the show, Chumley goes up to Bob Dylan and has him sign an album. And wouldn't you know, it's Empire Burlesque, possibly the worst Bob Dylan album of all time.
Of all albums.
He has him sign Empire Burlesque. And so we were talking about Dylan on tour before. So the one year I saw him, it was John Mellencamp, Bob Dylan, and Willie Nelson all on the same night. And they asked John Mellencamp, they're like, "Hey, what's it like being on tour with Bob Dylan?" And he goes, "He kind of keeps it to himself, but all I know is he'll come into my trailer and smoke all my cigarettes." It's like the funniest thing, just Bob Dylan just hanging out smoking a cigarette with Bob Dylan. Like it's just amazing.
You're revealing this different side, because when we began talking, 25 minutes ago. I thought we were talking about Bob Dylan. I thought Bob Dylan was just a guy, just an artist, just like any other artist. But he sounds like an enigma, to be honest with you. The more that you talk about him.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting. Does he do like interviews? Does he ever come out in public? What happens with him?
He did an interview with Rolling Stone a few years ago. He's been on 60 Minutes.
Wow. Okay.
If you really want a comprehensive look into Bob Dylan's early life and up to like that mid 60s point in his career that we talked about, No Direction Home is a good way to start. There's a bunch of films. Don't Look Back. Don't Eat the Document or Don't Eat the Document. That's another one that's in that same era. Mostly black and white. But one of the other things I want to, a couple other things I want to touch on his career is, so his heroin addiction. So Bob Dylan was addicted to heroin.
Now, was this early on or middle or end of it? Like, well, not end of his career because it's not over, but
wait, let's see. When did Saved come out? Saved came out in 1980. Okay, so yes, this is like mid, I'd say early to mid to late 70s.
Okay.
And Bob Dylan is in the midst of heroin addiction, right? So he, is releasing some albums, and then Bob Dylan's on stage at a concert. This is one of the legends. The other legend is something else, or the other story is something else. But Bob Dylan's at a concert, and people were throwing stuff on stage.
Okay.
Just out of like, just I don't think it was
because they're just causing a ruckus, right?
Yeah. So somebody threw a cross on stage. So Bob Dylan picks it up, brings it back to his hotel room, and he claims he felt the presence of Jesus in his hotel room.
Okay.
He then converts to Christianity.
Just from that.
So he releases these albums that are basically modern gospel albums. Slow Train Coming, Saved. And the cover of Saved is interesting because all these hands looking up at one hand, and the hand is like reaching out to them. So he becomes this Christian figure. Now, Bob Dylan was raised Jewish.
Wow, that's quite a change.
It's interesting, yeah, because it's funny because the Bob Dylan stage manager for the last however long does the same introduction for Dylan every night, and it's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the poet laureate of rock and roll." He kind of goes into this stuff. But one of the phrases is he dissipated into a haze of substance abuse and emerged to find Jesus. That's still in the introduction to this day.
Really?
So evidently he's still a practicing Christian.
Well, apparently if they still have it in there.
Yeah, and he released a Christmas album in 2009, Christmas in the Heart.
A Christmas album, no less.
Yeah, which is hilarious. And
I would love to hear that.
Oh my god, you have to hear it because it's just so random. And he actually did a video for the one Must Be Santa, and he's in the video wearing a wig.
Oh my god!
So he kind of got into this '80s groove when he's in the '80s. He had like a dangly earring.
Yeah.
He toured and did an album with the Grateful Dead, and then Tom Petty backed up Bob Dylan. The best rendition of "Knocking on Heaven's Door." Look it up when you have a second.
Okay.
Dylan is playing the harmonica on the intro, and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers start to go into the song, and he puts his hand back and stops them because he's just wailing on that harmonica.
Wow! Oh my god, that's amazing.
Just wanted to keep going. So he's there, and he's in the Traveling Wilburys, and he's doing a couple of other things. Then, after we get into the '90s, he gets into a really good, strong groove, like a really bluesy, soul, American roots vibe. That's really, really, really strong material. And there's been some criticism because it's basically old stuff, old folk songs that he didn't necessarily write, and he's kind of retooling them, making them modern, some more production to them. So that's kind of been his last, I'd say, 20 years. But along that way, like I said, all these little things, all these little intricacies you could point out have made the career of Bob Dylan. And so we just kind of scratched the surface. Just wanted to take this time to kind of
Yeah,
um,
no, that
give an intro, and then we're going to get into some music as we go forward on this multi-part series.
I cannot wait. I honestly can't wait. That was fantastic. That was a really good job. You really know your Bob Dylan stuff.
Wow.
And I learned something today
Yeah.
because I learned that Bob Dylan is not just Bob Dylan. He just sounds like a very interesting person.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we were talking
Yeah.
about I don't know, just any other artist. Like let's say Jack Johnson. Talk about
Yeah.
Jack
Right.
Johnson. And it's just like, okay, Jack, you wouldn't expect Jack Johnson to have any weird like things about him or anything. That's how I pictured Bob Dylan, essentially.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to get into it. So I think next time I should definitely get into some of these songs.
Yeah. I'll send you maybe not even a comprehensive list, because if it were a comprehensive list, it'd be too much to swallow, it'd be too intimidating.
Yeah. Okay, you're just like man, what was it?
Smile.
Yeah, Smile. Smile was
Let me,
very just
let
like
me
the
just say
infamous
this.
Smile. All right, go ahead, say it.
Let me just say this. I don't think you're going to enjoy a lot of this stuff. I really don't.
Okay, I did worry about that. I thought about that. I stayed up at night thinking about it, but I am I'm going to, as always, give it my honest my God's honest truth. That's what I'm giving.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like a whole lot of it, but at the very least, it's something I think you have to hear as a
Yeah,
musician, as a producer, as a appreciator, as someone who appreciates music.
yeah, no,
You have to you
absolutely,
have to
yeah.
hear some of it, And
I
there's a lot,
agree.
a lot of
I
Bob
agree.
Dylan stuff I don't particularly care for. There's stuff I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. This is the best thing I've ever heard. And
Hmm.
there's some stuff that's like, whatever, you know.
Okay, so even for you, there's some things that you
Yeah,
don't. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and that's I forgot to mention that. So talking about style, because we talk about Elvis, how Elvis his style was just as iconic, his physical appearance was just as iconic as his film.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for Bob Dylan. And I mentioned how he had the sunglasses, but he went through this period in the '70s. It was the Rolling Thunder Review,
Hmm.
and he toured with Joan Baez, he toured with T-Bone Burnett, and this kind of fits into your theory, your assessment that like Bob Dylan's an enigma. You can't pin him down.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
wear this. He'd wear this white paint on his face when he played live. And
What?
he did this real thing where he was like yelling into the microphone, like a real like harsh, aggressive yell, like not like really like high pitched or like, but just
Just
like a harsher, loud,
yeah, just a
yeah,
yelling.
singing, right? And so they said, well, what do you have the white paint for? And he would do it like different, like sometimes it'd be like a football player just under his eyes. The other night it'd be like this whole face was just covered in white. And he claimed it was for like the lights so they didn't reflect or the glare on his eyes with the lights. But in reality, I think he's just messing with
Yeah,
you.
is he is Bob Dylan the ultimate troll? Is
Oh my god, it's fantastic. It's so good. It's so true.
I I cannot I'm honestly very I might be more interested in diving into like his life and what the hell this guy's about and what he does. He
Yeah.
might be a troll. He might be just fooling everyone. Maybe he loves it.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably what it is.
Oh my god, that's
It's
amazing. That's brilliant.
that really could be the whole thing. Maybe Bob Dylan's just a troll, and the music is just secondary.
Yeah, he's just like how could
Yeah.
I mess with all these folk song listeners?
Yeah, all
Oh,
these
one day I'm
douchebag
gonna
yuppies.
yeah, all these douchebag yuppies. Oh, I know. One day I'm gonna pull out an electric guitar.
Give me those sunglasses. Can I have them back? No, and he just wears them forever. That's it. It's
Yeah.
like it's just the ultimate troll.
Oh my god, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That is really good. I really like that take on it. I never thought about
I love. I'm gonna
that.
I'm gonna have those glasses on this whole time, just thinking that he's a troll. Now, we're gonna go with this hypothesis.
That's fantastic.
Oh,
That's
that's
awesome.
awesome. That's great. Yeah, no, I'm excited though. That was
Yeah.
that was a good breakdown, Dixon. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Dylan purists out there who are going to hear that and say like, "Oh no, this is wrong. This is wrong. The timeline's off." But that's basically the summary of the whole thing, the whole
Yeah,
music thing. Anyway,
yeah. No, I think that was
yeah.
very very succinct. I would say
All right, very
very
good,
good. Yeah,
good.
that was.
This could have been 3 hours if you really wanted me
I know. Maybe we'll have to do a long play one of these days.
to.
I think.
BTS.
Yeah, but yeah, BTS. But no, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good.
But yeah, so we'll have more Bob Dylan in our next episode because it's a multi-part series. We're not sure how many yet, but it might be several. So just so everyone's buckle up. I'm just saying we're all gonna be
Next
Bob
August.
Dylan.
Yeah, this is part 25. I guess. It's just me at this point. You've had enough.
Yeah, yeah, just you. Just like, all right, you know what, Dixon, you could take this for this series. Just let me know when you're done.
Oh god, that's
uh,
great. I love it.
Good stuff. But speaking of, well, we weren't talking about that at all. But speaking of migrants,
Speaking of No Direction Home, how do you like that?
yeah, no, wow,
Ah,
okay. Speaking
all
of No
right.
Direction Home, Dixon, your multi-million-dollar estate in Martha's Vineyard is probably overrun
Oh
with a lot
man.
of immigrants right now.
Oh
Is
no.
that the case? How's it going over there? How's it going up in
Oh
Martha's
my
Vineyard?
gosh. Boy, the vineyard. We can only go back. One of my favorite places on earth.
Oh my God. Yeah. So old Ronnie DeSantis, our buddy or boy down in Florida.
Talk about a troll move.
Now this really is the ultimate troll. So he had an illegal immigration problem. There were a lot of them there, so he facilitated the movement of them to a sanctuary state, and one of the places is Martha's Vineyard.
Oh my gosh.
And if you don't know what Martha's Vineyard is, it is probably, I mean, maybe you could help me out in this, Dixon, but I would say it's probably one of the yuppiest,
Yeah.
probably like lily white neighborhood area,
Yes.
not in my backyard kind of place in the world.
Yeah. It's exclusive.
Yes.
It's white. It's purebred and it's liberal.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, like you can't own land in Martha's Vineyard. Like you just lease it for like 100 years or whatever.
Oh,
Like it's a
really?
very exclusive enclave.
Now,
And go ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to point this out really quick because I did see a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, Martha's Vineyard actually isn't rich, and like houses are cheap there." I was looking at real estate out there. It's millions of dollars. All these houses
Yeah.
that are like,
Yeah.
1,000 square foot. It's millions of dollars.
Yeah. Obama went there for a reason. I mean, let's be honest. Let's come on.
Yes, exactly. If Obama lives in this area, then you know it's for wealthy people. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And the best part about that is that you have, you know, a huge base for the Democratic Party. Um,
Yeah.
Liberal, affluent, elite. They're going to save the world. Joe Biden, we're going to save the world. Trump, mean tweets. Oh, how disgusting, how despicable, right?
Sure.
Broke 80% for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's border policies cause what is, let's be honest, the crisis in communities in Texas and Florida and elsewhere. And they're coming from places like Pakistan. They're not just coming from Mexico. They're coming from, terrorist hotbeds in the world.
Oh, sure.
You bring the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, to the area, right? That supports these sort of policies, and they flip out. They absolutely panic and freak out, and
Oh,
have the
well, of
National Guard
course.
there in 24 hours, and have them quote deported to an Air Force base,
Yeah.
or wherever. They called the National Guard for 50 people. It was 50 people
Yeah.
that were in Martha's Vineyard, and they flipped out.
E- exactly. So, and herein lies the issue because these guys
Right.
are the not in my backyard type. from thousands and thousands of miles away, they will say, "Oh yeah, like yeah, let these people in. Oh, your
Right.
neighborhood could handle them. Let them in. Open your arms." And yeah, that's all well and good, but once they're on your land, then it
Right.
becomes a problem. The National Guard has to come in, and we have to get them out of here within 24 hours. I think something that I found pretty funny
Yeah.
was because that was getting thrown around. It's like, oh, they don't want him here. But then
Yes.
the news showed like this. It was constant. They showed this like one table where they were handing out waters, and they're like, actually, they love him here. The
Oh,
Martha's Vineyard people
yes.
loved it. So it was like it was like a media war, I guess you could say, between like
Right.
them trying to like whole like save face and just say, no, we're actually helping these people. We don't want them off our lawns, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's
yeah,
what's I saw the one CNN article was like, oh, it was enriching experience, and they
yeah,
improved their lives and all stuff. And I saw this comment. It was from a Facebook like a screenshot from a Facebook group of Martha's Vineyard. I don't know the
yeah,
accuracy of it. But the guy commented, he's like, "What else do they need? Like, do they need water? Do they need supplies?" And the guy's like, "They need housing. You have three rental
yeah.
properties. Dot dot dot. Basically, meaning put them up. That's where they need a place to stay." And
Yeah,
I'm sure that didn't happen.
I am absolutely sure that did not happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. It was quite a move. Now, of course, there was criticism, and we did
Right.
see that. Now, a lot of people criticize this as using actual like human life as a political stunt. Now, what do you think about that, Dixon?
You know, I don't think. Well, it's a political stunt. Yes.
Sure,
Let's
sure,
be honest. Political stunt.
yeah,
But in reality, if this is a problem that you've voted for and you created, you should have to deal with the problem. And I don't see any complaints about Joe Biden when he flew migrants and immigrants and illegals across the country to random airports in the United States in the middle of the night. There was no
yes,
complaints about that,
exactly. So
right?
yes, so this has happened before, and
Right,
it's not like it's anything. Um, I would say out of the ordinary because, like you said,
right.
Joe Biden has done it. So I mean, yes, it was a political stunt, but I mean, if you technically want to look at it, I mean, it
Right.
is a sanctuary. Um,
Exactly. It's a
it,
sanctuary state, sanctuary city.
yes, so
Right.
it's and Florida is not.
Right.
So it's kind of at that point you'd make the argument that well, Massachusetts is actually safer for them because they could facilitate them,
Yeah.
they could hold them. So
100%.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to criticize them at that point.
It is definitely a
Yeah,
political stunt. But if you're saying this is cool, then you should do it. And if they're
yeah.
going to drain the resources of everywhere else, you see them at Texas. They can barely house anybody. They don't have the resources or the manpower to go around
Hmm.
to care for these people. Then it makes sense. Okay, send them to a sanctuary area.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna put them up, then put them up. Like, don't don't complain about it. Don't say it was a stunt or anything like that. Just take them.
Then they're going to sue Ron DeSantis, or it's a criminal investigation, or who the hell, something going on like that. That's the latest I heard.
Oh, I'm sure it's all gonna come up. I mean, you could think what you want about it, but if you just look at the facts of as to what happened, I mean, he took them from a non-sanctuary state and put them to one.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's that. I mean, so where are they now? Where do they get sent to?
I think there's still an Air Force base in Boston or somewhere in Massachusetts. I don't know, or somewhere along the line, or maybe in DC.
That's it. That's wow. That's pretty interesting. Now I have to
Yeah.
say, these
Uh-huh.
poor bastards that are coming up. They are they
Yes, I know. I
they
feel
are
so bad. I really do.
they they are victims of a communist system in Venezuela,
Right.
and this just goes to show you what happens in
Yes.
those kind of areas because to want to flee to an area where you don't even have anything
Right.
it's I don't know, the communism has to be pretty bad is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
So, I
100%.
mean, we could go on a long time about that. A lot of people say that the CIA is always in there and they're actually making the
Yeah,
communist state fail because they want to make it look bad. But
right.
I don't know if I necessarily buy that. But
You imagine
anyway,
like getting on
what's
a boat in Venezuela and then you land at Martha's Vineyard and just
it?
imagine like from Venezuela to Martha's Vineyard, just a total just shock and
Oh
anger
my god!
and just unlike that has got to be. I would be so pissed.
I
I would be
can't.
so like, oh my god, this is how people actually live. Like
Yeah.
this is what they actually live like. And I'm on this boat on a TV box coming up from Venezuela
On a TV
and
box.
like this is where somebody actually is their home is like I would be it's like sign
Uh,
me up like I don't know like I couldn't even imagine how the processing went, you know.
yeah, I know. I can't even imagine either. But these guys are being told that people like this want them with open arms. So
Right.
and it's another shock right there where they don't get that.
Right, exactly. That's also true.
They're probably there like, oh, Martha's Vineyard, you guys are sanctuary city.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and then they're like, well,
yeah,
no, actually, see you
yeah.
later.
Immediately sworn by the
Yeah,
National Guard. The 50
yeah.
people. Like, oh
Oh
my
man,
god.
I'm honestly more, I don't know, I'm more disappointed with Martha's Vineyard than anyone in this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Well, did you hear Elizabeth Warren? She's like, oh no, the people of Martha's Vineyard handled it well, and they welcome them in and try to get them safe and all this kind of stuff. And I guess that's the whole logic is, well, they couldn't stay here. They can't. Why would they? How could they possibly stay here?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they sent them to the next best place, I guess, an Air Force base for
A friggin'
processing.
Air Force base.
Yeah, yeah. God knows what, a bunk bed or something, you know.
Yeah, a friggin' cot, a half-inch thick cot. I love that. Oh, they can't stay here. Of course they can't stay in Martha's Vineyard. What are you,
Yeah,
crazy? In our old white person liberal paradise? Oh, they
yeah,
can't.
right.
Oh man.
Exactly. You wonder who the heck is going to be able to to afford those places or afford that land or whatever it is, like from our generation, because nobody has any money.
No.
Everybody's broke.
Exactly. No one has or can hope to have that kind of money.
It's true. It's
It's
amazing.
got to be just disgusting
Yeah.
Washington like
Yeah.
bureaucrat politicians. Just a disgusting
Yeah. No,
kind of people
absolutely.
down there, like just really shady people.
Absolutely. 100% the
Yeah.
swamp, as they say.
Yes, exactly. The swamp.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
That's just so ridiculous and so unbelievable. It's
I
just so
know.
fantastic though.
Yeah. No, it really is. But yeah, so that's what's going on. And I guess on that note,
Well, yep.
we'll call it a day. Guys, we'll see you in the next one. We'll have another rant for you, but most importantly, we'll have part 2 of our Bob Dylan series. So I hope you stay tuned for that.
I was so excited. I'm really excited
I
to deep dive in this with you because everybody buckle up.
Buckle
Ice
up.
is
Get
gonna
ready.
hate Bob Dylan. I can guarantee it.
Okay. All right. We're taking that back. I'm going to give an honest review on the music that Dixon gives me for next week.
I love it. Can't wait.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.